Hi everybody. I decided that I would record a video for the newsletter and do something um, really courageous. So I am a really positive person. Let's back that up just a minute. I believe that when you go through things and you learn something, it's really important to teach and to share them. Because one thing I know for sure, I'm not going to be the only one feeling this way. And there is something to be said that the truth will set you free. So um, here's where courage steps in. I'm a really positive person. There have been some pretty shitty things in my life that I can find the positive, including when my brother's autopsy photo was taken out of the envelope in open court, facing court. I can find a reason and positivity for that. So um, every gift, every light casts a shadow. Debbie Ford taught me that. And so being positive is the light. Being in denial is the shadow. And I am really determined not to go through this, um, I want to say once in a lifetime, but virtually never, we don't have a precedence for this in our time, this isolation and not learn something or go back into my old habits of how I do things. So although you all know me for my bright and brilliant personality, um, some people say larger than life. I'm a really good actress. I'm very introverted. So the thought of being able to stay at home actually kind of thrilled me in the beginning. And then a few weeks ago, someone in my extended family, my ex-husband actually called me and told me that somebody in his family, his extended family, had tested positive for the virus and was in a medically induced coma on a ventilator, that he had to say goodbye to his wife, and because they don't know the outcome, and then he was sedated. The good news is that he has recovered since that news. So let's just get that out of the way. And though it is a long, hard journey of recovery for him and his wife, who was not hospitalized, um, their courage is very inspirational to me. So when that happened, it sort of shook me right out of denial, um, and made this whole experience hit home for me. And I kept trying to push through and be positive and sort of a different shift of a different kind of denial, really looking at, things like, just let's shove the sadness down, let's shove it away and do what you always do, Lori, and just pivot, look for all the good things. And I wasn't finding any relief. And um, then I was not allowed to go to the studio anymore or teach from the studio with any of the teachers. And it all just started to um, get to me. And driving by my son's house and just to wave at him. And I understand I'm very fortunate that I can drive to my son's house. Um, but when that was pointed out to me, when I was trying to express how I was feeling, something started to shift me out of denial, and that was anger. And that anger grew to rage. Now, the only person who would have known that I was really pissed off would have been me. And as that rage started to grow, my patience totally disappeared. completely gone. I would read Facebook and want to take my phone and throw it across the room. I'd go to upload videos to the YouTube channel and get really, really, really mad that it didn't work. My emotions were bigger than the events of my life. And that is a bit of trauma showing up. And I first I almost died when I was nearly 3. And that traumatic event, oh, my little sign went down there. That traumatic event, I know when I'm working in my trauma because I get very much like a 3-year-old. Like, who do you think you are? What are people doing? Why are they going outside? Don't they know they're supposed to stay inside? And I'm a Virgo too, so following the rules is a really big thing for me. How's the lighting, Em?
The poster's sticking out behind you.
All behind my head. Look, we're not editing this, just so you know. So
we are professionals.
We are going to just be what we're going to be, and we're going to hope that stays there for now. It's blocking what little light we have today on it. So back to my getting angry. I then started to cry. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't really want to do anything. And I'm like, that's it. Now my positive light has gone and I'm in this massive depression is what I'm thinking. Well, I'm going to do yoga and I'm going to breathe and I have all these resources and people are doing free stuff and I'll just do theirs. I don't have to, I'll just go and do a recorded class. And it didn't help. In fact, it made it worse because, I'm going to meditate and all meditation does is make me weep. And I go to my mat and I go to do yoga and all I do is cry. So one of the things I know that I do to feel good is I become service of others. So I'm going to record a class for everybody. So I start to record it and I can't. And then I'm listening to my sister and the difficulty she's having without being able to touch her grandchildren. And I'm going to my mom's house because the online groceries really aren't working for her. And so Tuesday morning, I go at 7 a.m. and I buy her groceries. And coming into her house and she's crying and I can't touch her and I can't soothe her. And then one day at 7 a.m., a security guard decides he's not going to let me in the grocery store because I'm too young. And it took me some time to convince him that I'm on immune suppressant drugs. And so I needed to come at this time. And normally that would make me cry. And it didn't, I didn't rage is nothing short of a miracle. If you know anything about Ayurveda, I'm Pitta is my dominant energy and that's fire. So it's very easy for me to trigger into anger or busyness. It's very easy for me to do that. And then I sat down one day and before I went to bed, I said, dear God, please tell me what's going on with me because maybe I need medication. I don't know. Maybe I am massively depressed. I can't do the things that are helping me. I didn't want to knit. Everything hurt my hands. All of my self-soothing and self-care things actually started to piss me off. Pardon my language. And so in a dream, I had a dream of touching people, like hugging people and holding Michael's hand. I haven't seen Michael since well into March. I've seen him, but we haven't physically touched. And I spent more nights crying on the phone than it was beneficial for anybody. So when I remembered that dream in the morning, what I realized I was feeling was grief. I try not to cry. Grief because of the lack of physical touch. Now, being introverted, you would think that I would find that to be a blessing or a gift. And Emily Ann lives with me, so why are we not touching? Well, we're not touching because we have in our brain like we're not supposed to touch each other, and then dawned on me that we can start hugging each other. So once I figured out that, I started to do a little research about my emotions that I was going through. And I'm going to get a little piece of paper here. So I realized I was in the stages of grief, and what I was grieving was physical touch. So first I shifted from my positiveness into denial, then into anger. Oh, and then there's bargaining. I actually said to Michael, maybe we can have it so that if you take a shower and put on clean clothes, and I take a shower and put on clean clothes, and I drive to your house, maybe I can wrap myself in a blanket and you can just hug me. Maybe that'll be okay. So trying to find the loopholes, which to me is a form of bargaining, on the depression. And then when I could acknowledge where I was and that what I was feeling, then I could accept it. And once I accepted where I was, then I could change where I was. So let me just tell you a little bit about a study from the University of California at Berkeley about touch. Touch triggers feelings of reward and compassion. It builds cooperative relationships. It calms the vagus nerve. It calms cardiovascular stress. It reduces stress, period. And there was a study, again by UC Berkeley, in Emotions magazine that said NBA teams, so the basketball teams that touch each other, win more games. We are currently in a phase where we can't touch each other. I can't see Michael, so that when I'm my introverted self, at least when I go to bed at night, I have somebody to snuggle up to. My single friends who are out at work, and now they're not at work, like I have a friend of mine, and he would shake hands with people at work. Well, he can't even do that anymore. And it's taught me so much about how I deny things. I used to watch Survivor, for example, and think, my God, you haven't seen your family in 21 days. What's the big deal? I wept this year watching the people touch each other. I used to be the person that when somebody would say they were sad, say, oh, but you have this to be thankful for. And that is still important. But what is the most important thing is for us to acknowledge where we are. So these are some of the things that I did to shift out of that.
Sorry, do you mind if I put some input in quickly?
Yeah.
I was just thinking too, I think what also helped you to have that dream, realizing that you would grieve, is when I just one day I decided Mom needed a hug. She just looked like she needed a hug. So I just went up and hugged her.
She said, Mom, we haven't hugged in a long time.
I realized, I was like, oh, she left that out.
It's okay, because
It's okay.
I have no notes other than those, and so I speak from my heart because I really think it's something people need to hear.
Oh, I didn't mean to make
And
you
it's
cry.
true. No, I cry because I cry, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel lonely. And here are some of the things I did to help myself. One, I ordered really soft yarn. I was knitting with a linen. Not that I don't love linen, but it's coarse through the fingers. So I got some really soft yarn from a local store. Number two, I forgave myself for judging my behavior as inappropriate and for being angry at people who are living their own lives, that it's not my job to keep the world safe. The other thing that I did is I was taking baths to unstress. So after a bath, I take a shower. Because what I realized is that we need to stimulate touch. Oh, the other thing I did was I started teaching kids yoga classes. There's 3 of them up online. I'm really funny. And that's how I started to flip things, was that I couldn't teach my regular yoga class, but I could really help children and parents. And I think I've discovered a new talent. And there's more stuff coming regarding that in later times. But the most important thing I did is I started massaging my head. I started stimulating my own touch. I started spending time quiet with my hands laced together like this, like I was holding somebody's hand. But it all stimulates the sensation of touch. So the other thing is there's a video. I'm going to be putting it up on the website today about self-massage. Now this massage is not to help with anything other than to stimulate physical touch. The other thing I did is I showed my mom. I said, Mom, I want you just to hug yourself. I want you to rub your arms, rub your legs, put cream on your feet, rub your scalp, all of those things. And you know what happened? My mom stopped crying. So I really think there's something really important to be said about stimulating physical touch and hugging your loved ones that are with you in your home a little longer. It's so, so, so important. I have some new content coming up. I'm now uploading videos onto the website. I'm doing really well. I hope you are all doing really well too. If you have any questions or need any support, please, please let me know. Make sure you touch yourself, particularly those who are single. Emily Ann and I schedule hug time now because we can get all caught up. It releases serotonin too, I believe. Physical touch and hugs are so important. And we can touch our arms, hug ourselves until we can be together again. I wish you all the best. I send my love and gratitude to all of you, and we will talk again soon. Namaste.